I'm Dave from Klassen Woodworks. Today, we're going to do a shop tour. Before we get into the video, I want to read a verse from Scripture. It comes from 1 Chronicles 16, verse 34, and it says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for his mercy endures forever." I find it so often that I can just forget this. And in times like today, I think each and every one of us needs to reflect on this just to remember how powerful and in control God is in these times and how loving he is. And that ultimately is my prayer for each and every one of you. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the video. My shop is here at our house in our 2-car garage. This garage was an addition early last year in 2020, right before the pandemic started. So we're lucky enough in getting better wood prices than there currently are. I'm just going to do a quick shop tour today to kind of cover all the areas and see how it is now, so that I'm hoping in a year we can revisit this. This is a 2-car garage. It measures 22 feet deep inside, and there's a little notch out here on this left side. But at the furthest point, it's 21 feet, and at this notch out, it's 19 feet. So we're about 450 to 460 square feet total.
Before I set up the shop, I did go through design on SketchUp to kind of help design the layout and think of the flow beforehand from rough lumber to finished piece. So I set up the lumber immediately upon entering the garage on the right side and near the table saw. Normally, I take my boards, bring them to the table saw to cut them to width, and then I move them to the jointer and planer on the opposite end of the shop to get them to their final thicknesses. Thick 9. This SketchUp design is the goal to get to, and you'll see as I go through the shop tour that we are not there yet.
Along the wall we have the 6-inch jointer from General. I bought this thing used. I've run probably 150 board feet of maple and oak through this, and it's been beautiful. I will not complain. 6-inch though, it is a bit limiting. I do run a lot of 8-inch boards, so I end up having to run it with the bit hanging off. It can get a little tricky, but as long as the board isn't too long, that usually works. Next, we got a few tools in this corner. Start off, we got this flip top cart that I built. This is using Brad Rodriguez's plan from Fix This Build That. DeWalt DW735 planer on top. It does have a helical head that we put in. And on the bottom, we have the rigid orbital spindle sander. I would highly recommend building a flip top cart if you are limited on space. It saves space, it's amazing. 2 tools in one spot. These I don't use frequently together, so I'm not constantly flipping them. Flipping them only takes about a minute. In the back here, we do have our house's water heater. It is a tankless unit. Yeah, so that is a 2-stage unit that actually runs our domestic water for the house. And the second stage is actually plumbed into the in-floor heat that we have in this garage. Here's the thermostat. It's just an on-off thermostat. I set the temperature, and it's amazing how well it works. Next to that, we have the dust collector. Bought it used through Marketplace. I will actually hard plumb that in, get it right in the corner, and then run hard piping along. That is on the to-do list. Moving along the wall, next we got the 12-inch bandsaw from King Industrial. Yeah, this is a tool that I don't use too often. I definitely don't think about upgrading this one at this point. It's nice to have when you come across projects that you need it with, but otherwise it's definitely not a first item to buy. Next along the wall, we have the Excelsior router table. This is also a brand that the King Canada, King Industrial line supplies. It was one of the cheaper options that I found online, but otherwise it's a fantastic. I did opt to change or not go with the Excelsior lift. That wasn't a bit of an more expensive one. I ended up going with the Jessam Router 2 lift, not the high end, but the Router 2. And this has been a game changer for setting up your router bits accurately. Definitely not a necessity in a shop, but for streamlining production like that, it makes things much easier and very consistent. Yeah, I have a Bosch 1617 EVS mounted under here, which is a 2.25 horsepower router. Moving along the wall here in this corner, it's basically just empty and some storage. I got some Craig tools. This is where I will be building a tool wall. I'm hoping French cleat wall. Have all my power tools hanging here, my hand tools, the stuff that I need. I'm readily available. My clamps, I have them all mounted here on the end of this work table right now, but I'm hoping to get them all mounted up here and clear this off at the end of this work table. This is where my miter saw station will be going. I will have 8 feet, 8.5 feet to the blade of the miter saw on the left side, and then to the end of the other wall on the other side. Here we have the Bosch 12-inch miter saw. I absolutely love this saw. I've had it for about a month and a half now. I came from a 10-inch sliding miter saw from Mastercraft. I wanted to upgrade to a saw that I can butt up against the wall. I've absolutely loved it. I still have the stock blade on there, so I haven't run too much wood through it. We'll be upgrading that to a red one as well. I just have it on a cheap stand for now. This is a Mastercraft brand stand as well, until the miter saw station gets built. Moving to the corner over here, the right corner when you enter the shop, is all the wood storage. This actually used to be my old planer stand that I built on the fly. No wheels, no casters, just 2 small pallets that I stuck together with some 2x4s when they were cheap. I took it over here because I didn't have anything else to put anything on. Since then, I have built the flip top cart, so my planer went over there, and it's become a mess with my lumber storage. I have the hardware, or the supplies, the wood, to build a rolling lumber cart, which I will be tackling here shortly. I will be documenting that one, so that will be the next project to look for. And then I have my Mastercraft toolbox. This does house some of my wood power tools that I can't put in the bench, or I don't use that often. But mainly this just holds all my mechanic tools. Next we have the table saw, and this is the one that everyone has, the Rigid R4512. I've purchased it off my dad. It's done me very well. I mean, everyone knows about the fence issues that it has, but as long as you're aware of that and you can adjust for it every time, I think a saw stop is everyone's dream, but I may be going with the Laguna when the time comes. And on the end here, I have built the router table, end table here from Jay Bates, from his design. This was actually my first router lift that I had. I have a Mastercraft lift in here, or a Mastercraft router. It's done, it serves its purpose. It gives you an extra table to work on, but honestly, since I have the router over there, I don't think I've turned this piece on once. And then we have the workbench. This is the center of the shop. This is where obviously everything gets assembled, everything gets built. This is the only storage that I really have besides the toolbox. I do have a cart here too that I'll go over, but this is it. It's the Ron Polk inspired cutouts on the side. I did not cut them wide enough when I did it. It's basically a catch-all. If I don't keep it organized, things get thrown in the back and lost and never seen again. So I do have to be fairly intentional about my organization in here. It's not that great of storage, especially for a bunch of small things, you know. Down here I got a few pipe clamps, and then just underneath is storage as well. Power tools, circular saw, sanders, hardware, and biscuits, screws, router bits. Like I said, just a catch-all. Also want to mention for lighting in here, we were recommended to go with pot lights. At first I wanted to just go with a bunch of LED bars, but my electrician convinced me into going with pot lights. I am very happy that we did. We went with 6-inch pot lights, and we have 8 of them total, 3, 2, 3 in a run. While this is very bright and I love it, there's no dust to collect up top or anything. I am noticing, especially when I have my miter station over there and everything, when the light's right behind you and you're working in front, you're casting a shadow in front of you and it's not the brightest. So I think what I will end up doing, especially over there and along that wall where I have the router table and the bandsaw when I'm working there, I'm not creating my own shadows. I will probably run some LED bars. I would highly recommend pot lights. Maybe just go a little bit more than I did. Last but not least, we have the mobile tool cart. It's basically a catch-all for everything that didn't fit into the workbench. I have a bunch of screws up top, stuff that I use frequently. Then I got all my finishes down below, my spray gun, etc. So this is also becomes my lumber cart that when I need to move things around the shop. So nothing too fancy going on here in the shop at the moment. We've come a long way from where we were, and I'm very thankful that I've been able to set up my shop here in this place, that we've been able to build this. And I've been able to get back to woodworking. I love it as a hobby. I love creating things for other people and seeing their ideas come to life. For the channel, I mean, this is a view into where everything gets done, where the things get built. Some videos that'll be upcoming here shortly. Some projects that we want to tackle, like the miter saw station, the French cleat wall. We've got some carts that we want to build, some lumber storage, and I'm excited to show you guys. Let me know what has your curiosity. If there's something you'd like me to further elaborate on, comment down below. I appreciate you guys watching and taking the time to see what the Klassen Woodworks shop looks like. Take care and God bless.